So what would be the word for it? I cleared the cards today. I recalibrated my cards today. And so this is the first time I'm shuffling. That's the first shuffle since I recalibrated them. Feels very nice. Hopefully that'll help. I know the last few readings that I did were a bit chaotic. Largely in part, I think that's just kind of where my energy has been, so I'm not just going to blame the cards. However, I'd already done quite a handful of really deep reads, and, you know, that energy just felt stuck in them, so it's nice to be able to... I hadn't even thought about it, and then somebody online happened to mention that they had recalibrated their deck and were asking how other people did that, and I was like, I'd even thought to do it, but I hadn't also thought to do it, at least not the way that they had mentioned. So what I did was I put them all in numerical order, and then I did them according to which court they belong in, essentially. I know there's only the few actual court cards, but like I would consider all of those things courts. And I am also aware that, like, maybe I can put this off to the side a bit and it'll help with the lighting. Okay, or the whole box is just gonna tip. Okay. Might be a little bit better. Okay. We're just gonna deal. I have this cute dress on, but it looks more inappropriate. Just in this, looks like all boobs. Sorry. Just listen to the message. If all you can stare at is my boobs, that's a you problem, to be honest. Sure, it's been a couple days now, again, since I've done a read, which is fine, but it'll be nice to get a message out. I have a lot going on in my head. I have been having wild dreams, been having lots of, like, I call them downloads because I don't know what else to call them, and that's literally what it feels like. Like, I'm a sophisticated processing system, and I'm just receiving random downloads about things. And for the last few days, it's been really intense. TMI, but I was on my menses cycle, and because of that, I had... not been doing my like meditations and yoga. It's not because of that, but it was just that it was extremely intense, and this time, and it isn't always like that, but it was extremely intense to the point where trying to do my normal exercise routine was incredibly painful, to the point that I just couldn't do it. So I didn't for 3 days, which I know is not great for a sense of consistency, and I've been consistent thus far outside of that. So I will be getting back to a more consistent me come tomorrow. But in the meantime, since I was kind of forgoing my personal responsibility to those things, I've been trying to kind of raise my responsibility to myself in other ways. And and to others. I've tried to, you know, start opening myself up more energetically to other people where I've kind of been more closed off lately. So that's been good. By the time I get on to my shit tomorrow, I'll be far more balanced, and it will be a much. I'm always adding on to the balance. It's not like I just let everything fall by the wayside. But that's how I maintain, so that when I'm able to get on top of other things, everything kind of continues to fall into place. And so where I'm at right now in my life is that things are just continuing more and more and more and more and more and more to fall into place, where like even these couple days that I kind of fall off the wagon with certain things, I really don't, because I'm still doing these other things. And I feel much stronger and much more clear and capable. Not more capable, because I think I kind of always, a lot of my insecurity throughout most of my life was being drawn from a keen internal awareness of my capability, but a frustration and struggle with my, not just my wisdom, but like it wasn't an, kind of like an ability, but like just like a lack of awareness of self to kind of bridge that gap between what I know myself to be capable of and what I'm actively doing to do the things that I'm trying to do, right? So yeah, I'm definitely getting to a better place there. But of course, like the way that it works too is that the closer and closer that I get to like a complete seamless balance, the more that all of these other things start to come in, you know, and try to bring me into some sort of bring me out of my sort of alignment and bring me, you know, into different forms of temptation and different stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that it's a full moon tonight. If it's not tonight, it's tomorrow. I meant to check and I forgot to. So that's good, because come next month I should be back on cycle with the moon. When I'm on cycle with the moon, I can keep it up for an extended period of time. It's once I start getting off track with myself that then I get out of balance with it. And then I have to do this internal work in order to get in alignment with it. I knew that this time my menses started a little early, but I knew that it would end at the full moon. So we're right there. So I know that come next time it should be pretty in balance. But I still got a couple months to go before I'm fully set. And so that was the thing too, where like about these temptations and stuff like that. Like lately I've been getting a lot of attention from men, and you know, not just because of the dress, but just in general, I've had a very high energy, and it's been attracting a lot of attention from men. And you know, I've found myself slipping in different ways and making allowances for different things that just aren't in my highest alignment. But I've become more and more aware of those things, and more not guarded in the sense of being like defensive, but guarded in the sense of being like keen and wise and able to kind of maneuver myself in a way where, you know, I'm not engaging with certain things. And I've seen the effects of it in a lot of different ways too, which is great. But it also just like is this reminder, because I have like, you know, I've been celibate now since May. Well, abstinent more than celibate, but been abstinent from sex since May. And I made a vow to myself that I would be at least until I turned 35, which is, you know, in a few weeks. And because of that, and because of my abstinence, like now I just have like a whole bunch of dudes that are like, okay, wait, so when is this vow up? Like, when do I get to try you out, sort of deal? And like, there was a time in my life where I would receive those things as complimentary. I wanted so badly to be desired that like I longed for that type of attention, to be honest. It was the only, that type of attention is what I had defined love and affection and intimacy by. But I'm about to be 35 and I'm well aware that that is not any of those things. It's about the lowest vibration you could possibly ask to share with somebody else. A doodle hump a pumpkin, like, they don't even have to have an intimate connection with an object, you know. And when it comes to a woman, they're well aware that like there's a game that has to be played in order to make that woman feel some type of way, and it's kind of just figuring out how it is she wants to feel and then playing that role in order to get to that objectification point. And no matter how these guys play it, that's just ultimately what it is. And it's kind of made me, you know, I work very hard to not become a bitter bitch, but like it does make me like just kind of like frustrated and tired in that way with men, how they, you know, because these aren't actually men, these are the boys, you know. Doesn't matter their age, it doesn't matter their maturity in all of these other ways, doesn't matter their career, or, you know, if they have their own house or have their own businesses or anything like that. It's a conception of self, more or less, and, you know, and a conception of women, and or you know, their partner, and which is just a reflection of their conception of self. And it's just like, I don't know, I'm tired of the games. I'm just so tired of the games. I would like to have fun. I would like to be able to get back to enjoying life. And so I'm pushing at the same time that I'm pulling, and I'm more just kind of releasing at the same time I'm receiving. I guess that's what it comes down to. I'm really not trying to push, and I'm really not trying to pull. I'm trying to release, and I'm trying to remain open to receiving. And in that, you know, the boundaries kind of set themselves, and it's more just a matter of me being aware of myself and what it is that like my body feels and what it is that I need and require as a woman and a partner and, you know, just an individual. You know, and I'm also like, it's weird because it's almost like the higher my vibrations get in that way, the less I have to explain myself. I used to feel this obsessive need to explain myself, and so much of it I realized over time was coming from my own insecurity about a lack of closure with things or a lack of resolution with things, that I never wanted to leave anybody else in that same space. But the higher my vibrations get, the more like I'm not, when I leave people or stop talking to people or don't give people certain energy, like they know exactly why. They don't have to question it. They understand. They know it speaks for itself. And that is, well, it's an empowering feeling. I can't say it's a powerful feeling, like I have any control over anything outside of myself, but it is an empowering feeling, to not feel, you know, like I am going to potentially be victimized by my own experience. You know, I don't have to worry about that. I'm not like in fear of having my heart broken anymore, or in fear of like being caught off guard by certain things, or being manipulated by certain things, or taken advantage of by certain things. I am well aware that that is all within my capacity to allow and to receive. And I'm not in that energy, you know, as much as and like I keep like almost like the push and pull part comes when I'm like in like making sort of allowances for those things, or I find myself being like, okay, well, let's see if I can like do this thing that I used to do, or like act this way that I always acted, or engage with this person this way that I've always engaged. And it's not that I can't, but it's not what I want. It's not ultimately what I want. I'm aware of what it is everybody else wants. And I don't care. That's not what I'm here for. They can go get what they want. however they need to get it, but it ain't going to be coming from me if that's not in alignment with who I am. So, like, they can try to guilt me into thinking that it has to be me because they feel some type of way about me, but none of that's my problem. It really isn't. And, like, if it were what you really needed from me, then you would also be able to give me what it is that I need from you. And, like, I really don't ask for much, but, like, at the same time, I kind of do, because we live in times where, like, people aren't terribly high vibrational every day, all day long. Not that I always am either, but, like, it is my norm. Like, it's my norm. Like, that's where I like to keep myself as high vibrational as possible. Yes, I can hit lows, but, like, most people nowadays, especially, I mean, we're talking about, like, you know, people in the industry, more or less. You know, we're talking about people like artists and musicians and comedians and entertainers and, you know, people, like I said, that have their own businesses that are, like, doing these different types of things. People in the industry, large scale industry. And that's just not, you know, that requires a certain type of high vibration, which I resonate with. And if I were to accept a partner and receive a partner, they would be somebody with a certain level of high vibrations that way. But it's not like that's innately what I'm looking for. I don't need somebody that actually has any particular thing. It's all about an energy transference. And that's why I have to be so keen, because, you know, people are very good, men and women alike, are very good at manipulating energy. And it's like, you can't manipulate true creative force. You know, I mean, you can. That's what we all do. But, like, you can't manipulate, like, my highest power. It's just about it manipulating me in order to keep me from being in true connection with my highest power. And that's why, like, you know, all of these different systems that are in place to keep us separated from our own highest power are there. And that's what their intent is. And that's, you know, why there's all of this support for those types of systems and stuff too, because low vibrations want to keep everything in a low vibration. So, you know, as much as, like, it was so hard at first for me to, like, you know, and I don't have it outside right now. I've been drinking a coffee. I've been drinking caffeine the last 2 days, actually. Today I have coffee. Yesterday I had tea. But, you know, it's still significantly different, and it's controlled. Like, that's kind of the whole point. It's not that I don't want to be able to engage with certain things in this life. I am a hedonist and like to enjoy myself, but I require being in control. I'm also a stoic. Most hedonists don't adhere to stoicism, and most stoics don't engage in hedonism. But I believe in both, and in finding a individual balance between the two. So, you know, in that, I mean, and that's reflective of my deepest theology, which is that every individual's individuality, personal experience of this, there's one reality, there's one truth that pervades all of existence. There's one existence, but there's a multitude of experiences of it. And that is the importance of the individual, and that is an essential aspect to the power of the life force of creation that exists within existence itself. Existence itself is that creative life force. And, you know, access to it is something that I think, I mean, at least as far as I observe, seems to be innate in plants and animals and nature as a whole, but human beings tend to be divided from because of self-awareness, you know, because we step outside of ourselves to look at ourselves a certain way, we become inherently connected to source source creator, you know, and it's not that we can't be, but it takes an alignment with self at that point, and like that's the whole point of coming into alignment with your highest power. So like, you know, that's the way that I tend to look at things too, and that's why I set the boundaries that I do. It's not that I don't want to engage with people. Back when I was not concerned with my highest power, I was happy to be a slut. And I don't think that that's like a evil thing. Like, I don't believe in things like that. It was coming from me not being connected to my highest self, where like I was just giving myself away freely because I enjoyed the experience of it. And I'm thankful for those experiences in the ways that they have brought me to where I'm at and helped me in my world. But like, I'm definitely not there now because I was unaware. Like, the more I get into my highest power, the closer I am to my highest power. Like, I realized how much like karma I was taking on through those experiences. Like, especially as a woman, I think it happens probably, I mean, I know it happens both ways, but I think it's a little bit different for men than it is for women. As the receiver of those experiences in that way, like, you know, the one taking things in and taking things on that way, like, yeah, it just was all of like being so casual with the people I was that intimate with, left me with so much just bullshit to work through, to be honest. Like, just nonsense, really. Because it was nonsensical to begin with. So even that energetic exchange, regardless, was nonsensical. It was so casual of such a sacred creative energy that, like, it wasn't serving. It did serve me. It did serve me. But it served me in my ignorance, where I'm no longer ignorant. So it wouldn't serve me now to engage those same ways. That's probably the best way to put it, to be honest. I don't think it's helpful to damn yourself for the things that you have done, nor to like preemptively damn yourself for things that you're actively engaged in if you're not fully aware of those things. I mean, you can't even know until after you've done something, but like, yeah, I just don't think damning yourself is ever helpful, to be honest. So it's been a weird space. I don't know where all that came from, and I don't know where it was going. I'm pretty sure that these cards are going to reflect wherever my headspace is right now. So we are going to get into this. I pulled 4 cards, came out face up. So those are the cards that I accepted. And we will just go from there. So the way I have them lined up is 4 on top and 4 on the bottom. They fell out in some specific order, and then I like wasn't really paying attention because I was talking as it was happening, and then I placed them in this order. So when it comes to this read to the person listening, I'm going to be reading in my own energy, but it might be helpful for you to just like write down the cards and look them up for yourself, and then kind of meditate on them yourself, and to kind of come to your own conclusions about it. If you need to pause the video in order to do that, so then when like after I tell you the cards, and then that way when you watch the video, it'll be like I can give like little tidbits maybe that you can pull from it, of like, oh, that actually adds into what I already know in my heart. Like, that actually makes sense. That actually brings those things together. That might end up being more helpful than trying to pull blindly from the messages I'm about to bring, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's the best way I gotta put it. So, I'll tell you what the cards are. If it's helpful for you, like I said, to write them down and then pause it, look them up yourself, kind of meditate on yourself, come up with your own kind of story for this reading, kind of what it's talking about. Get in your own energy, get in your own meditative state, so that the information that I give you is more just like helpful, not that you're like looking for me to have the answers. it'd be more helpful specifically with this read for you to have your own concept already set, and then I'm just like adding on to it in different ways that might be helpful. And ultimately, as with any of these readings that I do, or with any readings that you ever have or find online or anything like that, only take of it what is resonating with your highest power. If it starts resonating with your lows or not resonating at all, it's just not for you. If it's resonating with your low vibrations, you can learn from that, but I would suggest to not engage with those lower vibrations. So if it starts to like creep you out or trigger you, or like frustrate you, upset you, make you feel any sort of like, if you start to feel like a headache, if you start to feel fatigued, if you start to get a stomach ache, if you start to just feel like mentally distracted, where like it's just hard to hear, it's probably just not the time and space for you to receive that message. And I would suggest to just either come back later or to skip this one and go to a different one. So that being said, makes me feel like, so this must be a very specific message. It's a very specific message. And I'd assume for a very specific person or people. Okay. The cards that I have are the Ace of Pentacles in the upright, clarified by the Eight of Cups in the upright. I'll show you the cards. The Ace of Pentacles in the upright, clarified by the Eight of Cups in the upright. Justice in the upright, clarified by the Two of Cups in reverse. The Devil in the upright, clarified by the Six of Cups in reverse. And the Knight of Cups in the reverse, clarified by the Queen of Cups in the upright. Okay. All right. Because of the way that I have this box set so that I can actually do this video, it makes it so that I have to like kind of set the cards at an angle. And the way I set the cards at this weird angle has the Devil at the very top. And then they kind of cascade down under that. So that's how I'm going to read them. I'm going to start with this Devil energy. The low vibrations, the Devil tends to resonate with me, of course, as a recovering sex addict, as a sexual deviancy, or the low vibrations of one's sacral self. I don't inherently define carnality as negative or, it's negative or low vibrational even. It is base, it is basic, so it's low in that way, but it's not low vibrational in a definitive negative. So I also don't define the sacral energy as always like, it can be equatable to carnality, but carnality really can be exhibited in any one of our chakras, and is kind of, at least as I see it, like the most base human aspect, where like it's not coming from the higher self, it's just coming from the state of one's being. I think it's very important to recognize one's own carnality in any state, because it's a reflection of our individuality. And I don't think it's inherently wrong, or I don't think anything is, but like I don't think it's inherently wrong to engage in one's carnal self. but it's about kind of alchemizing that carnality into a higher vibrational space. And when I see the devil, I see like the lowest base carnality, and like, you know, there's the reflection of the masculine and the feminine, of, you know, this concept of as above, so below. But it's almost like, even in that, the as above, so below, it's like it's like a temptation. It's a temptation card. It's the temptation of trying to get you into a lower state, you know. And like I said, like these guys asking me on dates and stuff, and like, they don't fully, I think, in of themselves even recognize what they're doing. Their highest power recognizes what they're doing. If they knew themselves, they would know what they were doing. Really all they're trying to do is just get what it is they're after, right? And they don't see that as being like a threat per se, but it is, especially spiritually. I went out with this guy the other day. Well, I was planning on going out with this guy later that night, and then his car broke down. His battery died, and he needed a jump, and was talking to me about it. And I was like, well, I can come over there, you know, and jump it for you. So I went over and tried to jump it, but his battery was he needed to get a new battery. His battery was just completely dead. So I took him back home, and we sat and chatted for a while. For a few hours, we sat and talked. And in those conversations, like, it got to the point where he was like, man, like, he's like, you know, when I first, because, you know, well, we know a lot of the same people, but a lot of the same people, and we've all had our, you know, we've had our different interactions with all these different people, and I've followed him on Instagram for some time because of that, but he started following me recently, and he was like, you know, when I first saw you online, and even just seeing you in person, like, I'm very physically attracted to you. And that was innate, and like not a question in my head. Like, I'm aware that I'm very physically attracted to you. And he's like, but I didn't really even consider it any deeper than that. But now that I'm talking to you in person, I'm realizing that you are like somebody I'm very emotionally and mentally interested or attracted to as well, and interested in. You know, and he was like, you know, like, I would, and it's every guy feels this way. If a guy only likes me for my physicality, because my physical appearance is not the best thing about me. So if the first thing a dude is attracted to is my physical self, then of course he's going to feel some sort of way when he actually gets to know me. Because once he starts to see my actual good, valuable qualities, he's going to be like, oh, this is truly a valuable woman, right? And I've just gotten quite accustomed to that. I tried to go, so like this, I mean, essentially it ended up being a date because we sat there talking forever. But it wasn't initially supposed to be that. It was supposed to be me just helping him out. And then we were going to go on a date later, which I ended up getting busy, so I canceled. But I had gone on a date with someone who was kind of under the same thing. We've been following each other for years. I've talked to him, I've video chatted with him and stuff like that. You know, we've flirted back and forth multiple times, but I hadn't actually met him in person. And I went out with him like maybe 2 weeks ago, and we had a very nice time. It was very nice. I very much enjoyed his company on a surface level, in the sense that it was like, it was fun, it was cute, we could flirt, like, you know, he's attractive physically, he's, you know, he's smart, he's funny, he's, you know, talented, but these people aren't resonating on the same level that I am. And I say this too, well, okay, so like, you know, because he had said the same thing where he's like, oh, I could actually, like, you're not just hot. Like, I've always thought that you were hot, and I've always been very attracted to you and always wanted to bang you. But to be honest, like, I could actually see myself being with you long term. Like, you're kind of everything I've ever wanted, you know. And like, kind of said the same thing. This dude even was like, you know, that I just was hanging out with was like, oh, just marry me. Like, you're perfect, you know. I understand where they're coming from when they say those things, because I just think that most men, especially these types of men, aren't accustomed to interacting with intelligent, like self-motivated, disciplined women. And so if they find one, like I said, that they find physically attractive and then find that I have those qualities, it just like kind of blows their minds and then triggers, you know, that feeling of like, oh, I think I'm in love with this person. And that's not to invalidate it. I just understand where those things are coming from. But like I said, they're just not, they're not after the same things I'm after. They're not, you know, that's ultimately, I think, what it even comes down to too, because I do find myself very attracted to like all sorts of different kinds of things, and those things are very, like, they're the qualities that these men have been very attractive to me, but they're seeking fame and fortune, and that's not where I'm at. I can receive those things. I can do good with those things, you know. I'm no longer in a state of like actively trying to reject those things where I've kind of always been in. I'm not trying to block those things. I'm not scared of those things, but I'm definitely not like that. It's not the reason I do anything I do. Those aren't my end goals. My end goals are far bigger than that. And so then like I also, you know, like I said, that one guy was 2 weeks ago, and this was just yesterday, or 2 days ago maybe. Yeah, 2 days ago, I think. But then I had also talked to this other guy who like I pursued a bit because I was very physically attracted to him, and that was the initial, uh, you know, reason that I felt anyway. It was just because I was physically attracted to him. And then we started talking, and I realized that he was incredibly deep, incredibly sophisticated. He's, you know, like a psychology major, and, you know, works as a counselor, and he's young, which is something that's kind of weird for me, but at the same time, it's really, I don't really care about a person's age as long as they're, you know, I'm not gonna be with somebody that's under 21, and I'm already very like skeptical of being with anybody under 25. But if, you know, if somebody like being with somebody younger isn't something that I always was interested in, but if they have certain qualities, then I don't really consider their age. And like, he's very respectable. He, like, you know, carries himself very well. So, you know, I really, yeah, I was incredibly impressed. He actually walked me through a healing session, which was very powerful for me, and important, and much appreciated. You know, and so, you know, I was very much attracted to him, and we kind of engaged with it, and he was saying the same sort of things. You know, he had never really met anybody that could engage with him on those levels, and wasn't really expecting to find a woman that could do those things, and that, you know, like, he was attracted to me physically, but he was actually very much attracted to me emotionally and mentally. But it ended up, and I think it's just because he's younger, it ended up being just too much for him. And, you know, he was very good about communicating that too, where he was like, it's triggered a lot in me. I realized that I'm not ready for what I thought I was ready for, that I got a lot of work to do, and I'm not in a position to offer you what it is that you deserve or are looking for, you know. And I have all the respect for him for that. I have all the respect for this kid for that. I really do. But yeah, so it kind of like, even that, like, it, because ultimately that's what it came down to. He still found himself where he was like, even despite all of those things, he still more just wanted to get at me sexually, and like realized that he couldn't, you know, he wasn't willing to fully like commit or anything right yet. And I would not expect that of him at that age. That's why I kept telling him, you know, I don't mean to like say like a younger dude, but like if you're like dudes, like really, like if you're under like 35, 36, like I wouldn't think twice about you even trying to commit truly, um, unless you're the first one to come out and be like, I'm looking to get married and have kids, because a lot of men are like that, and they're like that usually then by like 30. But mostly if you're like single or still playing the field and stuff, you know, between a certain age and up until you're like 36 or so, like I I know a lot of men, you know. I grew up with brothers, like, you know, I've known a lot of men, like I get it. So all of that too is just like encouraged me more and more to just be happy by myself and stop seeking certain relationships, you know, and I'm not looking for that. And like if I end up living alone the rest of my life and just pursuing the careers that I have in mind and the goals and aspirations that I have and succeeding in those things, I will be more than contented. I will be more than satisfied if I can actually fulfill those dreams and aspirations, and they don't include committing to one man in that type of way. Although I am monogamous as well, like I don't care about like being with a whole bunch of different people. So it comes down to we're like, you know, if I like with the devil energy, like with my sexuality and stuff, like if I, you know, I would like to find ways to engage with that health in a healthy way that don't include, you know, just being a slut, essentially. I would like to engage with my sexuality in a very healthy way, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what that looks like and what that feels like. And honestly, I haven't even been putting any real effort into that lately because I've been worrying about stabilizing other aspects of myself. So I'm not worried. Like, I'm not like pushed or stressed for like getting in any type of relationship. And it's almost like when these guys are like really adamant about that, like I have dudes like that, like, are always like everything that I have to say, like they're always like trying to turn it around to why I should be with them. And it's just not where I'm at. And I've gotten to the point where I realize that like a lot of that energy, although they don't mean to, is just trying to keep me from my highest self and from my highest power, because they know innately that if I am in total alignment with my highest power, they're not going to be able to reach me. They're not going to be able to attain that, right? Like not just attain alignment with my highest power, right? So like, not that they couldn't, they're just not going to. They don't want to do that work. They want to get me before I'm there so that they can have a piece. And I'm not giving away free samples anymore. So like, sucks to be a dude attracted to me, I guess. So that's kind of what I'm getting from that card. And it's clarified. See, the way that I set these up actually changed the reading. So I know I said earlier when I listed the cards like that's what you should write down and take the meanings from. So that will be for you in your own personal reading, because it's changed now. The way that I have it now is actually very interesting, because I have the devil clarified by justice and the Knight of Cups in reverse. And then those two are clarified by the Queen of Cups in the upright. And again, I mean, this is everything that I just said. Justice and the Knight of Cups in reverse is reflective of me knowing what I want for myself and choosing to not receive what is being offered in the way of romance because I have something even better for myself. And it grounds me more in myself. So like, I'm not going to receive lesser than what I'm able to give to myself, because all that's going to do is going to end up bringing me down. But directly under justice, as a clarification for justice outside of the Queen of Cups, is also the Six of Cups in reverse, which is also like I said about not just doing the things that I've always done in that sense of comfort. You know, the Six of Cups is a card of nostalgia, and like, you know, like a comfort food, like a comfort song, or like a comfort person. Like, there's these things that you would fall back into in even a karmic way, but because they bring a level of comfort. And there's so much toxicity that we pass for comfort because it's nostalgic. But nostalgia is kind of an illusion in of itself. It's kind of a trick that we play. We hold idols in our heart over specific feelings because of the way that they made us feel at a time. And when we aren't in our highest power, and especially when we're in states of being like unsure or feeling insecure or feeling insecure, like, then we tend to fall back into those spaces of comfort because it gives us some sort of resonance. It gives us some sort of response, some sort of energy transference, some sort of connection. But I've learned that it's much better to allow yourself to be in a state of uncertainty, of discomfort, of not knowing, not being comforted. Like, it's better to sleep alone than it is to fall back into bed with things that don't serve you. It really, really, truly is. And also, you're never going to reach attainment with your highest self if you continue to fall back into those low vibrations, because that's like taking 2 steps back instead of that step forward. It's better just to stand still and then take a step forward when you're ready than it is to go 2 steps back. Or at least, you know, like I said before, like, if those are things that you do and you find yourself 2 steps back, don't beat yourself up about it, because that's just going to keep you 2 steps back. You know, the or maybe even make you fall further. The best that you can do is just stay where you're at. Learn how to be patient. Learn how to cultivate gratification, gratitude within the moment, within the things that you have, and then move forward when you have the power to, when you have the confidence to, when you have the awareness to, the wisdom, the right interpretations that way, or the right support. You know, it's better to go without those things when you know that they're not right for you. You know, it's so hard to be sober. It's so hard giving up certain things, because they just give you the sense of comfort. And when you feel like you're lacking, you know, you don't want to be without. You don't want to be without because it makes you feel less than. It makes you feel more incapable. It makes you feel more lost and more chaotic. But you're not. If you can just stand right where you are and ground yourself, you'll realize that, like, all of that's just going on around you. And it's all just an illusion. And it's all just these, you know, low vibrations that you're caught in that are trying to keep you there. And they're nervous themselves, those low vibrations, because they know that if you step outside of them, you're gonna find that you don't need them anymore. And they need to be needed in order to be validated. That's how low vibrations work, you know. And you know, so you don't have to fall victim to those things, for sure. It doesn't matter how comforting it seems. If you know better, it isn't your true justice. It's, you know, it is a devil. It is this bondage, something that's keeping you bound to your lower energies, and it's not worth it. You know, the Ace of Pentacles, true abundance, divine abundance. It isn't just material. But the Pentacles, I would say, like, if it were next to a card with wands, I would say that it was more referring to, like, emotional, spiritual abundance. But because it's here by itself, and particularly because it's over the Two of Cups in reverse, okay, so actually it's being clarified by the Two of Cups in reverse and the Eight of Cups in the upright. And so that's kind of the sign that, like, your greatest material abundance, and like I said, like with myself personally, like, my greatest material abundance isn't actually reflected by being in the commitment that with a partner that I truly desire romantically. You know, the eight of cups is just shy of the 10 of cups. And then we have the 2 of cups right next to it. And those are the 2 cups that it's missing, right? But it's in the reverse. And what's interesting about the way that this is set too is that in the 8 of cups card, you see this person, they're walking away. Well, it's right next to the 2 of cups, where it's as if the man is walking towards the 2 of cups in reverse. So he's walking to his abundance, which is represented by the Ace of Pentacles. But it doesn't actually look like cups, the way that cups look. And because he's aware of this, you know, in the light of the moon, as the moon's out and it's low tide, in the light of the moon, he becomes aware that these cups aren't actually where his abundance lies. They're not actually where his abundance lies, which is why he can walk away from them. And he's not even walking towards the 2 of cups. He's walking through the concept that it isn't that union in of itself that is bringing me to my abundance. It isn't a union with another person per se that's going to bring me into my abundance. In fact, it's a union with myself and with the divine that is going to bring my abundance, and it's my abundance that is going to bring in everything else. It's an energetic thing. You first have to be in the energetic space of receiving and of acknowledging your capacity for abundance before you can actually receive that divine abundance. And so if, you know, what I know in my heart of hearts is best for me is, you know, like a partner that actually respects me, well, me settling for anything less than that is just a validation that I don't actually believe that that's what's best for me, or that I don't believe that I actually deserve what is best for me. And that ultimately is a reflection of not truly understanding yourself in connection with your highest power. It's your highest power. It's you in your highest vibrations. That's all it is. It's the creative force of energy. It's the energetic force of creation, you know, within yourself. It's the highest energy in the universe for creation moving through you. And if you aren't in alignment with that, we have a tendency to tell ourselves that it's because we don't deserve to be, or because because we're not there yet, so like we must be doing something wrong, when like it's not at all what it looks like. This is an entire process, and it takes people that are actually actively trying to do it. It will take their entire lives, and most people just don't even actually actively try. So, you know, it doesn't work so definitively, which is again is why like the Ace of Pentacles isn't truly a material aspect, but at the same time it does reflect itself in a tangible sort of way where, you know, it doesn't have to look as tangible as the exact perfect partner is right here right now asking me to be with them for the rest of my life and it's just going to be set from there. Like, it's not like that. It's an energetic tangibility where when I know what I deserve, I don't have to settle for anything less. When I know that this person is really just saying these things and doing these things, not because it's disingenuous, but because they want something from me without giving me equal. And like, that's the thing too, because like guys will be like, no, like you make me come, I'll make you come. Like, that's not... Listen, what it takes to make me come is like an extremely high energy, like vibration, you know, so like you can physically make my body respond to something that's not what I'm looking for. It's not what I'm looking for, you know, and I can do that for you, and that might be what you're looking for, but then I'm not receiving equal from you, you know, and that's more what it comes down to. That's why so many dudes are attracted to me right now, is because they're well aware. I carry the energy on me. Like, they're well aware that, like, I've got what it takes to give them what they're after, but they're not after what I'm after. So I'm not going to give it to them. And, you know, A lot of dudes don't like that, but a lot of dudes, most dudes even take that, you know, as a challenge. And, you know, well, how can I portray myself and play this game in order to make you believe that I can give you what it is that you're after? Or even to give you that, you know. But if it's based on just your ego, it's still not what I'm after. I need a person that's actually connected to their highest power. I'm not here to say what that looks like. I'm not here to say what that is. Like, you know, but when I'm in my highest power and when they're in their highest power, like, that's the same power. It's the same creative force energy in the universe. It's source energy. So like, though, that will recognize itself. We'll see ourselves in each other in the highest form, and like those things will just come naturally. So that's a big point about those things too, is like recognizing that you don't need to force and you don't need to pull. You don't need to do anything but release and receive. Because when you are in your highest power, anything that's in its highest power will also begin to resonate with you that way, and you will help uplift the energy transference of so many different things and the vibrations of so many things. And anything that isn't meant to be in that highest vibration will find itself separated from you naturally. You don't gotta push it away. It'll just fall away naturally. And I'm still definitely stepping into that for sure, but that's also because I'm still, you know, given to falling into lower vibrations, and that's still what people are preying on, you know, literally praying. God, I'm begging this woman to just be with me. You know what I mean? Like, it's wild, but it's very important, just to recognize yourself and to recognize what it is that you really have to offer to yourself, and to embrace that. Recognize what it is that you have to offer to others and embrace that as well. You know, just so that you can keep yourself grounded. And yeah, that's the message. This was a good, solid, straightforward message. Recalibrating those cards did a great job. Every read I do is interesting. It's always different. And I'm so thankful for it. I'm so thankful. I actually am just remembering right now at the end of the read that I said in the last video that I was going to start making sure that I pray beforehand. I actually was in my own prayer and meditation just prior to doing this reading, which is when I got the message and desire to do the reading. But I would like to make a point to do that corporally, to do that publicly to some degree, just to, well, one, to show people how I do it, for their own education, but also just to validate it a little bit more in the physical realm prior. But obviously, when I don't do it, it's because it wasn't fully necessary. So yeah, that's hopefully that did something good to you. If you did end up writing those things down, and hopefully, you know, that is also a blessing to you, and that you're able to pull your own message from that, and that it helps you, you know, learn how to get better attuned with your highest self and your highest power, because that's all any of this is about. That's all any of this is about. So, all right, have a good night, or whenever it is that you're happening to watch this, and I will see you soon.